Hey guys, I want to go over some basic in-game settings that I think will help your gameplay a lot. Most of these I'm just going to skim over and you can pause the video at any time. A couple of these I'll go into more detail on. Uh, Video settings is one of those. It's based off of your graphics card for the most part. If you get too much lag, turn it down. The higher your view distance is, the better. And showing additional ally effects is a handy one for knowing what your group members are up to. Audio, that's on you. Gameplay, foot inverse kinematics is just to make it look better when you're running. Combat cues. Combat cues is a big one. Turn these on and set these colors to something that's going to stand out. I have mine set to these presets, and they've done me well. They always stand out. It never gets blurred into other AoEs on the ground, and I know where to go and where not to go. Feel free to try these numbers out yourself or mess with them and see what you like. This is what the friendly AoE will look like, so that's what you want to go into. This is what the enemy AoE will look like. You want to stay out of that. Makes the gameplay much clearer. Now these settings for ground targeting, you want the range lock on. Prevent attacking innocents is nice if you don't feel like adding up a bounty. And quick cast ground abilities is a big one. You're going to want to have that one turned on. What this does is any ground cast abilities, you don't have to click twice for them to cast. This is going to take some getting used to, but it really does shave time off of your cast. So any ground cast abilities, rather than clicking and then having to click again, the moment I hit the mouse, it goes. It goes right where your reticle is pointed, so it will take some getting used to in placement, but it'll really shave some time off of your casts. I think I skipped right over it, but I would strongly recommend turning off double tap to dodge. I will go over a couple of my key bindings here in a minute, but I recommend binding this to something like the middle mouse button or tilde, something easy, something very readily available. I was resistant to this at first, and I am so glad I switched over. The sooner you switch over, in my opinion, the better. Some really nice ones: consolidate area loot and auto loot. I leave auto loot stolen items off, but that's up to you. Camera, here's another big one. In third person, I turn my rotation speed up all the way. The more sensitive your mouse is, this is going to take a lot of getting used to, but the more sensitive your mouse is, the faster you can turn, and the faster you can pan your camera with minimal wrist movement. It takes getting used to, but it really will help. I recommend turning it up here more than turning it up your DPI on your mouse itself. That way you still have the fine motor control for every other thing in the game, but your pan speed will be higher. Field of view, turn this all the way up, and I also recommend being zoomed out as much as you can. The field of view will let you see more while you're zoomed out. The more you see, the better. You want to see those guys sneaking up behind you, or what the rest of your party is up to in a dungeon. Horizontal position, horizontal offset, and vertical offset. Give these values a try. I've played with these a lot. They're a fairly awkward setting. With those values, you end up with your reticle centered above your character's head when fully zoomed out, and it gives you a little bit more range. when you're panned down slightly. Now when you zoom in, it'll start dropping over the character's shoulder, but I've limited that so it's not too far and too weird. Again, that's up to you, but those are some basic settings I have found work for me. Interface, I'll just scroll through here and you can copy it. None of this is super important. I have an add-on tracking my frame rate and latency. You may want to turn this off to be able to turn this on to be able to track those things. Nameplates, there's a lot here. Go ahead and pause it and try to copy these if you want. Social, I strongly recommend coming in here and changing all of your guild colors to something that stands out. I'm going to show you the colors I'm using. These seem to be working. It takes a while to find ones that stand out against each other. Combat, I like leaving always show on ability bars and attribute bars so that I always see what's going on. Ultimate number, I do like seeing my ultimate number. Combat tips, always show. Appear anonymously, this is whether or not other people will see you in their combat log. Combat text, I like having all outgoing up. Having the incoming, it gets to be a little much on your screen in my opinion. Most of my buffs and debuffs are tracked by other add-ons. You may want to be using that. Now the outgoing damage is that number that you see popping up on my target, and it just kind of helps you know what's going on, who you're hitting, who's in your AoE, who's not. Now, I'll be coming through and doing a video on other add-ons and on bandits. Bandits here is a massive add-on that has all kinds of good stuff in it, but it'll take me at least 3 videos to cover that. Now, I mentioned earlier that I have turned off double tap to dodge roll. So here in keybinds, I would recommend binding this to middle mouse button or tilde, something really easy to get to. Ignore most of these keybinds. I use my mouse for movement. This is probably going to be very different than what you have. I would like to point out that in targeting here, cycle preferred enemy target is very useful. It's like the tab target in other MMOs. It will let you cycle between targets that you want to hit. So if something gets between you and that target, your spell should still hit that target. Here's a look at the rest of what I have. Again, my setup's going to be very different from yours. Well, I hope that helped. I've been wanting to get this video out for a while, and I'm glad I finally did. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one. Bye.